Hey guys, I wanted to take a little time to reflect on the message from this past week. We read 1 Corinthians 4, 6 through 18, and we talked about Paul's amazing encouragement to suffering saints. If you didn't watch that message, I want you to stop this video right now and go back and watch that first and then come back and join me here. The title of the message this week was Thank You 2020. And I know some of you are like, what? I know, right? I mean, what am I thinking? Thank you, 2020. The message was designed for me to thank 2020 for some very important things that it reminded me of. In fact, it reminded me of three different things. The first one was, I'm not in control. The Apostle Paul talked about this amazing treasure of God's glory in these very fragile jars of clay. But that God did that on purpose so that when God does something amazing, people will know that it wasn't the actual people, but it was God that was in control. Something extraordinary is about to happen, but it was because of God and not because of the person. So let me ask you, before 2020, did you feel like you were in control? Be honest. Now that 2020 is technically over, do you feel more or less in control? And if you feel less in control, then how does that make you feel? Here's a third thing I want to ask you. If you're being honest, what area of your life do you feel like you are having a hard time giving God control of? The second thing that I thanked 2020 for reminding me was that growth is hard, but it's worth it. The Apostle Paul suffered some tremendous hardships, but it actually led him to have greater intimacy and fellowship with God. It caused his faith to grow. Did the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 cause you to be more aware of your mortality? Has the awareness of your mortality caused you to seek greater fellowship with God? As you consider that your time here on earth is limited, in what ways can you more fully give yourself to the service of God and of others? Thirdly and lastly, the thing that COVID reminded me was to fix my focus. Paul was experiencing hardships, the kind of hardship that led him actually consider that he was under a sentence of death. But Paul looked out into the future and he fixed his focus on the glorious return of Jesus and the resurrection of his own body. Let me ask you, has the events of 2020 caused you to focus more on important things? Have you ever taken the time to think about the glorious future that is yours in Christ? Last question I'll ask you is, what are the top 3 things in this life that you will not miss once you're done here? Look, one way or the other, you and I win, because when it's all said and done, we're going to spend eternity with Jesus. And all of the things that we experienced, all of the hardships that we had to endure in 2020 will all be worth it. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me just for a little bit. Love you guys, and I'll see you next week. God bless.